the dissenting was that they were legislating from the bench, which is, our duty to do. So we're making sure that we're back in the driver's seat in the legislating of this.
Absolutely. Inaction on our part would be detrimental because then it would be decided by the courts. And with that decision, this is our rebuttal to it in a way, but also us saying, okay, Supreme Court, you left it up to us. We're going to make the decisions. And that way we have our voice. The citizens have their voice.
Ready, set, showtime. Welcome to the Montana Majority Report. Quick, transparent, and informative. Get the inside scoop on policies, people, and decisions shaping our state, all in less time than it takes to pour your morning coffee. Stay tuned. Montana starts right here.
All right. Welcome to the Montana Majority Report. I'm Senator Wylie Galt, Senator out of Central Montana, and we are lucky enough to have the Speaker of the House, Brandon Lear, with us. Figured we would sit down and talk a little MEPA because we're starting to get to the end. We've got the 4 bills moving. I know I'm hearing 2 of them in my committee tomorrow, and I believe you've heard mine that's over there. It's due for EA soon. So most of these started in the House. So if you want to take off on a couple of them that started over there.
Yeah, so with these 4 or 5 MEPA bills we got running around, we had 3 out of the House, 4 out of the House, and then the 1 out of the Senate. Our couple bills that we have, the 2 big MEPA bills, 285 and 291, Representative Oblander's bill is making it to where Montana, doesn't get stricter than federal regulations, NEPA, and that way MEPA doesn't, go out and crush our economy. 285 is the bill that just makes it to where MEPA is procedural and not regulatory. And this package of bills, Representative Fitz's 466, the categorical exclusion bill, these bills are just making sure that Montana has natural resources and any other sector of our economy stays strong and protecting them. With the Held decision that come out last fall, we really needed this package so that way we can protect Montana's economic interests and make sure that our job growth and our economy stays strong in the state of Montana.
I think I was talking to some concerned citizens yesterday. They were more worried about your bill. And I was just trying to explain to them that it's a little hard with this package to just pick one and go, that's our plan. I said, you kind of have to take the global picture of all these bills. If you have a concern in one spot, usually one of them has the sideboards in there. You can't just pick one. It is a global movement that we're kind of trying to pull off here to deal with Held for, certainty in the industry as we're moving forward.
Correct. Yeah. And, each one of them takes a little stab at a problem. With 466, Representative Fitz's bill, that's making sure that all these little projects, like we're not having something as small as a parking lot or just these small projects have to go through the same as a coal mine or some big operation that does need to have some assessment done on it. We're not here trying to, none of us conservatives or Republicans are here to, pollute rivers and to knock down all the trees or anything to that matter. But we know we've got to manage these resources we have responsibly. And just to say we're not going to do any of that is irresponsible, A, for the taxpayers of Montana, and B, just for an economic standpoints. We have the resources and we need to be able to use them.
Yeah, and I think you make a really good point there that a lot of the negative emails we're getting is we're here to destroy the environment. And I don't know any legislator up here that's looking to destroy the environment. That there is, as we have said multiple times, we're kind of trying to wrestle in between a lot of private property rights and the right to do business and that. And we're trying to find that middle part where we are still protecting the environment, but we are letting our economic drivers work at the same time.
Absolutely. And you and I sitting here involved in the agriculture world, I don't know any other industry that wants to be better stewards of the land than farmers and ranchers because we need to make a living on it. Nobody out here wants to rape and pillage the land to make it non-usable. I mean, I want to make sure I leave enough grass behind so that way I have something next year. I don't want to strip everything off and have everything killed off stuff. Same difference with the farmers and out there. I mean, there's so many new technological advances in both of the arenas, farming and ranching, and a lot of that is to be better stewards of the land. And if we don't take care of the land, it's not going to help us make a living. And along with that comes, whether that's oil and natural gas production, logging, mining, all that is beneficial to the private landowner, whether that's through royalty payments, and it's beneficial to the state with new tax dollars generated, and all of it's being responsible stewards of it. Nobody wants to come in and have another Berkeley pit.
Exactly. I know I've heard a lot of concerns we're going to be polluting water. Had a group of ranchers come up to me and say that, and I said, that's what last thing we're all looking to do. What water is what drives our businesses, and we are not here to destroy it by any means.
Yeah, without water, I mean, and that's a whole nother discussion, but without water, we can't survive in the agriculture world. So, I mean, we're not here to pollute that or to make it to where it's unusable, because we need that to survive. And so does everything else, whether that's development or recreation or anything like that. But without these large economic drivers in the state of Montana dealing with natural resources, there isn't going to be anybody that's going to be able to afford to recreate. So we have to be able to manage these in a responsible way and in an economical way that supports both the private landowner and the state of Montana.
Yeah, and I think to kind of put this all in perspective, I mean, it's from the Held case, like you stated, that we have to do this. And, they left a lot to the legislature to do. So it's not like we heard the Held case and decided, well, we're going to do all this against it. I mean, there was a lot of statements in there. And I mean, and of course, the dissenting was that they were legislating from the bench, which is, our duty to do. So we're making sure that we're back in the driver's seat in the legislating of this.
Absolutely. Inaction on our part would be detrimental, because then it would be decided by the courts. And with that decision, this is our rebuttal to it in a way, but also us saying, okay, Supreme Court, you left it up to us. We're going to make the decisions. And that way we have our voice. The citizens have their voice. And I believe, all across Montana, they want us to make, the responsible economic choice by allowing us to still use our natural resources in a way that's responsible for the state.
Yeah, and I think you also mentioned it, but we'll just flesh it out a little more, is all these bills are putting the same standards that MEPA does.
Correct.
So we're just saying, the federal government seems to be doing it, so that's a good place for us to be as well.
Correct.
We're not being more stringent. We're not being less stringent. We're like, the nation's doing this, probably a good place for us to be as well.
Exactly. And just not wanting to adopt higher standards than the federal government has. And it all boils down to people that are in these industries need the assurances that they're still going to be able to operate in the state of Montana, or they're going to get up and leave. And we don't want that.
Yeah. And I think the other part of them is that, they are keeping it narrowly tailored to some of the industry that people worry about. Supreme Court had it pretty wide open, which I'm sure you had the same concern I did, that it always seems agriculture gets wrapped up in this.
Correct.
So we wanted to narrow it down to where, the problems can be, where you hear about the Berkeley pits, that we're like, all right, these industries, they're the ones that, could have the problem. So we're going to put the sideboards on them. We're going to give them the certainty in the path on they know how to get through it, but kind of leave the industries that aren't going to be dealing with this too much out of it.
Correct. Yeah. And that's where that categorical exclusion bill comes into play there, is saying these industries don't need to be, they're not having the same impact as, let's say, a copper mine would, or a coal mine, or, somebody that's using water in massive amounts. We want to make sure that those entities, those economic drivers are still held to a standard, but they don't need to go through the same process. Somebody that wants to drill a well or to, build a stock dam shouldn't have to go through the same process as somebody that wants to put in, oil and natural gas plant or a refinery of any sort. Yes, them companies, and I think with the certainty comes, if we have a standard, let's set that standard. And if, like with my bill, House Bill 285, that's just saying, this is procedural. We want you to go through these steps. We're not going to regulate you on these standards, but these are the steps that need to be taken to get the permit. And once they know them steps, whether they're lofty or not, they can say, okay, we can attain these steps or we can't attain these steps. And that just gives them the certainty to know that they are able to do business in the state of Montana. It's not continually moving that goalpost.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a line through all of these bills is you see that this is procedural. Yep. Here is the plan. There's public comment. The public is able to weigh in on these, throughout the process. Yeah. We put some sideboards on it so that we don't have, green groups parachuting at the end, pulling in a lawsuit and blowing the whole thing up. We're stating that if you have a problem, you have to come in at the beginning. We have all of that laid out to where the public can come in, they can stay where their concerns are, but also have everything lined out not only for industry, for the public, it's also for DEQ as well. Yeah. To allow them, because they kind of got handed this, didn't know what it would look like. Best process is legislative process. I don't know how many hours we have across these bills with public comment talking about them. Yeah. But I mean, they're well fleshed out.
Yeah, and leaving it up to the department to make rules, that's taking you and I out of it. That's taking the citizen out of it. Sure, we still can voice our concerns when they come down with, administrative rule packages, but this is setting it to where, okay, these are the rules that the legislature wants you to follow. And now as a administration, now as a department, they can say, okay, we've got guidance now. We don't have to wander here or wander there. And there again, it all comes back to certainty and the economics of these different entities and companies that want to come to Montana, but they're struggling because they don't know what their economic certainty is in the state.
Yeah, and I believe all of these bills have been bipartisan bills as well.
A few of them have. I mean, I know that 270 and 466 in your bill have. 291 and mine are they've gotten a little bit of support, but not the broad support like the other three have.
Yeah, I mean, my point just being is that everyone's had a seat at the table, but both parties are looking at it. Both parties see that there's problems with what happened with health and how we move forward from it and are looking for solutions.
Correct.
Well, I guess with that, thank you for your time, Mr. Speaker. I know you're busy. We're getting right at the end of crunch time, but glad we were able to kind of circle up and let everyone know about this package we got moving.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you.